Hello viewers, and welcome to yet another live-action commentated match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch, and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today, I'm honored to present another game featuring Alexander Cimadon. He's our player sitting to the left, and he is opting to play as our second Chaos faction Warlord Ku'gath Plaguefather. He's currently holding our initiative token, and on the right side of the table resides his opponent, Troels Berthelsen, whom instead is going to be playing as an alternate art version of the original Eldar faction Warlord Eldorath Starbane. Our opening deploy action is going to be a copy of Slanesh's Temptation affixed to planet number 5, played out by Alexander, so anytime that Troels happens to play a unit anywhere but planet number 5, he's going to have to incur a 1 resource token premium, in addition to the normal cost required of that unit. But it looks as though he's already working around that. We've got a copy of the card bonus conferring Void Pirate now placed upon planet number 5, and in assessing our opening lineup of planets beginning at the bottom, planet number 1 is going to be Atrox Prime. You pick an adjacent planet or the enemy HQ, and you deal 1 point of damage to each present enemy unit. Planet number 2 is going to be Planum. You can move one of your own non-warlord units upon winning a battle at that planet. Planet number 3 is going to be Karnath, which allows you to trigger the battle ability of any other planet in play. Planet number 4 is going to be Ossus 4, the Steel 1 resource planet, and planet number 5, where sits that affixed copy of Slanesh's Temptation, is going to be Barlas, the random card discard planet. So, interesting couple of additional deploy actions by now. Note that Alexander's holding the initiative token, but that did not stop him from playing a copy of the Cornate Berserker. At planet number 1, it's a 3-cost 2 attack 4 hit point unit with a command icon, but it has the brutal keyword, and therefore if your opponent's the one attacking first, you can benefit from some additional damage output once that unit successfully takes damage. But planet number 2, we've got a copy of the signature army unit Starbane's Council, 3-cost 3 attack, 3 hit points, 1 command icon. If it happens to be so fortunate as to have the opportunity to attack an exhausted unit, it's going to be swinging for a grand total of 5, but our players have already commit their warlords. Ku'gath shows up to planet number 4, Eldorath instead shows up to planet number 5. Eldorath is going to be able to get rid of that copy of Slanesh's Temptation and triggering a battle at that planet, but in regard to command struggles, planet number 1 is going to be a card and a resource to the left for Alexander. Planet number 2 is going to be a card and a resource to the right for Troels. Planet number 3, those Chaos Fanatics, 2-cost 2 command icon 1/2 unit, are going to end up winning 1 card, 1 resource for Alexander. And speaking of winning, Atrox Prime is going to be won by Alexander, so that's going to be a blue and a red planet type icon added to his victory display, and Starbane's Council at the adjacent planet takes 1 point of damage. Ku'gath Plaguefather wins a battle at Ossus 4, that's going to be 1 resource stolen from the opponent, and Eldorath Starbane is going to end up winning himself 3 cards in total from planet number 5 and triggering that random card discard effect upon Alexander's hand there. And of course that copy of Slanesh's Temptation is gone, with our Eldar player only having to pay a premium of 2 additional resources, 1 for the copy of the Bealtan Guardians that was destroyed by Ku'gath, and then an additional 1 affixed to that Starbane's Council. But Alexander is out 1 card, and it looks as though we already see our HQ phase, so things are going very fast and furious indeed. Hopefully I'm able to keep up with it, but our new planet number 5 is going to be Iridial, the healing planet. Our initiative token passes over to Troels, and it's going to be his opportunity to take a first deploy action. So both of our players have freshly drawn a couple cards, and they have accumulated 4 resources for themselves. So, what exactly are we going to see? It's going to be up to our Eldar player, who's kind of on the back foot trying to block off Ku'gath here. Whenever Eldorath shows up to a planet, you basically pick an enemy non-warlord unit to exhaust, and then Ku'gath, whenever he takes damage, his reaction is upon being declared an attacker, he's able to move 1 point of damage off of himself and onto the opposition. Planet number 5, we see yet another copy of the Void Pirate played out by Troels, and planet number 5 looking pretty familiar here by now. We see another copy of Slanesh's Temptation fixed upon that planet. So once again, planets 1 through 4, if Troels puts any unit at that planet, he's going to be doing so at the additional cost of 1 resource. So wherever Ku'gath decides to show up, he's going to be bringing that copy of the Corn Berserker with him. In assessing planet type icons, looks as though, Alexander's holding a blue and a red type icon. If he wins Planum and then he wins Karnath, we could see a victory as early as that for him. And then on the opposite end of the table here, looks as though if perhaps Troels tries to win, he could win as early as, I guess if he starts picking up green strongpoint type icons, he could take Planum and then Ossus 4 and then Barless, and that would be a victory for him. So, the game is definitely anybody's at this point. Once again, like last round, the initiative wasn't exactly working out for Alexander. This round, the initiative isn't exactly working out for Troels, just because if Starbane's Council is going to be the only unit at that planet, if it's going to be taking a swing, and it has to do so prior to an enemy unit being present and exhausted, then it's not going to be able to swing for its total of 5 attack value. But we've got a copy of the Warlock Destructor played out to planet number 3. That's going to be a 3 attack, 4 hit point unit at the cost of 2 and 1 command icon. Can you beat that value? My hypothesis is that you cannot at this point in our card pool's development, but it's of course got the forced reaction where during the next round's deploy phase you have to pay 1 resource, or either that Warlock Destructor vanishes into the warp and you have to sacrifice it or discard it. We happen to see a copy of the Heretic Inventor played out by Alexander. It's a 1 cost for a 3/3 and a command icon, but the obvious downside of that unit is your opponent decides what planet it is deployed to, and note that Warlock Destructor was purchased at a small premium, and we happen to have a copy of the Chaos Elite, the Gleeful Plague Beast, played out to planet number 1. It's a 3/5 with a command icon that matches that of Starbane's Council, and as a forced reaction at the immediate onset of the combat phase, you are forced to deal 1 point of damage to each and every other unit at that planet. Both players are going to send their warlords to planet number 1. Eldorath Starbane taps out the Gleeful Plague Beast. It's going to be exhausted. It's going to be a prime target for the Starbane's Council to either outright attempt to destroy it, or for the Khorne Berserker to outright be destroyed prior to its ability to attack for 3 or more, depending on how much damage it takes. And of course, the Gleeful Plague Beast is going to put some damage onto Ku'gath Plaguefather, which he can reassign to the opposition there. Move damage cannot be shielded, and if we can kill off that copy of Starbane's Council, that's going to work out very well for Alexander indeed. But planet number 1 looks as though Eldorath Starbane is going to win 1 card, 1 resource. We can see that Gleeful Plague Beast is dealing out some damage. Planet number 2 is going to be a card and a resource won by Alexander. Looks as though we see a promotion discarded as a shield to spare that Starbane's Council from potentially being eliminated as soon as Ku'gath Plaguefather is going to have the opportunity to attack. Planet number 3 is going to be a couple of resources won by our Eldar player to the right. Planet number 4 and 5 is going to be a grand total of looks like 5 cards for our Eldar player. Archon's Terror says you are banished, Gleeful Plague Beast. It's going to be kicked away from that planet immediately. It's going to be routed, sent packing to the enemy HQ. Starbane's Council is going to swing for 5. That's going to be a dead copy of the Khorne Berserker. And now Ku'gath Plaguefather is going to be all alone at that planet. He's going to have to try to overcome the vicious onslaught of Eldorath Starbane and the Starbane's Council. That's going to be him declaring himself as an attacker, presumably against Starbane's Council. He's immediately going to shift that single point of damage off of himself and onto the opposition there. And whether he tries to hang out at that planet, okay, we are going to see a shield card used. That's going to be a discarded copy of Promotion to spare the existence of Starbane's Council. Eldorath Starbane himself takes a swing. That's going to be 1 point of damage assigned to Ku'gath Plaguefather. All of these players are going to ready up their units. And here is a little bit of a problem. So if Eldorath hangs out at this planet, let's say he takes a swing at Ku'gath Plaguefather with like his Starbane's Councils. He's going to be able to deal out 3 points of damage. Then Ku'gath Plaguefather is going to be able to swing in return, kill off that copy of the Starbane's Council, and then Ku'gath and Eldorath Starbane are going to be left at that planet to take swings at one another, and because Eldorath is only going to be able to deal 1 point of damage at a time, he'll be able to basically achieve parity with Ku'gath Plaguefather, but Ku'gath is going to be able to keep peeling damage off of himself and reassigning it to Eldorath, so basically it would be as if Ku'gath were taking no additional damage, but each and every combat round, Eldorath would be assigned an additional couple of points. So, as a result, we see Eldorath run away from that planet, and Ku'gath similarly also manages to run away from that planet. Looks as though there's a little bit of to-do going on. I'm not sure exactly what's happening at on the playmat there of Troels, but as soon as Planum is won, that's going to be a green and a blue planet type icon won by Alexander, and that's also going to be Planum, affording him the opportunity to relocate the Gleeful Plague Beast to our planet Karnath. Looks as though perhaps our players were explaining what a hypothetical situation could have been, like an alternate reality, if it were, what could have happened if Troels would have decided to hang around. But in going into an additional round here, we've got that Gleeful Plague Beast strategically positioned at a victory condition planet for Alexander, and if our Chaos faction player is going to be able to win at Karnath, that's going to be a very early victory for him indeed. And it looks as though we've got that Heretic Inventor, we've got the Chaos Fanatics, and the Gleeful Plague Beast all positioned upon planet number 1. We've seen an HQ phase come and go. That's going to be a new 5th planet. It is Yavarn. Both players put an army unit from their hand into play in their HQ planet. The initiative token passes over to Alexander, playing as Ku'gath Plaguefather. That's going to be 4 resources generated by both players. That's going to be 2 additional cards accrued by these players. And let's see what exactly Eldorath can try to do, try to prevent his opponent from winning the game here. Looks as though that Chaos player's hand is full of incredibly nasty effects, a lot of different shields, a lot of different direct damage effects, and if there's anything Ku'gath Plaguefather does well, it's to persevere and to endure, enormous amounts of damage dealt out slowly over time. That Gleeful Plague Beast is going to potentially threaten to kill off the Starbane's Council should Eldorath show up at that planet, and even though he'll be able to pick and choose whichever of these units to exhaust, I presume the Gleeful Plague Beast, that's not going to stop it from potentially killing off the Starbane's Council prior to its opportunity to do anything. And even though Eldorath is going to be able to knock out an enemy unit, we could, see the Starbane's Council not have an opportunity to do anything. And if Eldorath shows up, the Heretic Inventor could swing at Eldorath for 3. Chaos Fanatics could do so for 1. Looks as though we're deciding to continue. We're keeping that copy of the Warlock Destructor in play. So let's see what Ku'gath can do. It looks as though this game is looking very favorable for him indeed. I've seen a copy of Tzeentch's Firestorm, a Warp Storm, and a Fetid Haze in his hand. So let's say that Gleeful Plague Beast ends up taking 4 points of damage for the cost of 3 resources. We could well see Alexander deploy that copy of Fetid Haze. And that would result in, all that damage being wiped away from that Nurgle trait Chaos Elite Demon, and then that could be anywhere like up to 4 maximum possible indirect damage being assigned to our player there on the right. Looks as though we do not actually decide to keep that copy of Warlock Destructor in play. It is irrelevant to defending against the victory condition planet there for Alexander, so you might as well let it burn in hell and then spare, basically pay that same resource as the premium required of a new copy of Warlock Destructor played out to planet number 1. So a couple additional deploy actions. Rogue Trader sits upon planet number 2 for Alexander to hopefully win him a whopping 3 resources to fund a Warp Storm alone. We see a copy of Rogue Trader played out by Troels to planet number 4, and we've now got a copy of Ku'gath's Nurgling sitting upon planet number 1. So whenever a unit happens to be moved to planet number 1, that's going to be a forced reaction of the Nurgling triggered. That's going to be fantastic in, synergy in conjunction with that Gleeful Plague Beast to make sure that Starbane's Council is just going to be absolutely wrecked. So that Warlock Destructor is sitting at planet number 1. It's not going to be taking 2 points of damage, but Starbane's Council is going to be moved alongside Eldorath to that planet. It's going to have to shield in order to prevent being destroyed by that copy of Ku'gath's Nurglings. And then once that happens, Gleeful Plague Beast is going to process its ability at the beginning of the combat phase, and that's going to be another point of damage you'd have to shield against, and all of this is going to be, to spare an already exhausted unit. Ku'gath himself is going to be taking a point of damage at the first opportunity. Ku'gath is going to be able to swing. He could just move a point of damage off of himself onto that copy of Starbane's Council, basically guarantee that it's destroyed, so I therefore would probably not recommend shielding against all of that stuff, but looks as though both of our players are going to send themselves to planet, I assume that's a 1 on Troels' HQ. Planet number 1 is going to be a card and a resource 1 by our Eldar player. Looks as though we do see a copy of Empower discarded as shield. Starbane's Council is going to be surviving the Ku'gath's Nurgling's effect. So Ku'gath takes a point of damage. Eldorath takes a point of damage. Planet number 2 is going to be 3 resources 1 by Alexander. Planet number 3 is going to be 3 cards for Troels. Planet number 4 is going to be an incredible 2 cards 1 resource for Troels, which is definitely not bad considering the intrinsic 1 card bonus alone printed upon Iridial there, and then Yvarn is going to be won by neither player. But going into this combat phase, Alexander's our player holding the initiative token, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on here. So that Gleeful Plague Beast at the beginning of combat is going to blow up a considerable number of units sitting upon that planet. Everything is going to take 1 point of damage. The Ku'gath Nurglings are not going to be killed, the Heretic Inventor or the Chaos Fanatics. Ku'gath himself, none of those units are going to be killed, and that is a mountain of resources that Alexander currently has access to. So it looks as though we're in the process of resolving that Gleeful Plague Beast's forced reaction. All of these players are dealing out damage. Starbane's Council is going to be outright killed unless we happen to see another shield card discarded, and at this point, why bother? Because Ku'gath himself is going to be able to deal out a killing blow. The Warlock Destructor is going to be able to get off 1 good hit. Looks as though that was maybe a copy of Nullify used to preserve the life of Starbane's Council. Eldorath himself takes a point of damage, and the Warlock Destructor similarly takes a point of damage, and let's see what Ku'gath does or does not do. In order to try to win this planet, it is going to take a little bit of a New Year's miracle for Troels to make it through this one. So we see the copy of the Heretic Inventor take a swing. That Gleeful Plague Beast was exhausted. That's going to be a copy of the Signature Attachment Mobility. 3-3 is going to be a hefty 0. No damage dealt out by the Heretic Inventor. The Warlock Destructor takes a swing. That's going to be the Gleeful Plague Beast with a total of 3 points of damage upon it. The Ku'gath's Nurglings themselves are going to take a swing. Are they going to be attacking that Warlock Destructor or Starbane's Council? I suppose all of that kind of remains to be seen. It's actually going to be Eldorath himself. So Eldorath only has 2 hit points remaining. Ku'gath is going to be attacking for 1, the Chaos Fanatics for 1, and then Ku'gath can reassign 1 point of damage to him onto the opposition, but let's see how things end up being resolved. Eldorath Starbane takes a swing, but that's going to be a 1 shield icon associated Warp Storm discarded to prevent whatever it was Eldorath was hoping to kill, whether it was a copy of the Chaos Fanatics or the Ku'gath Nurglings. And now let's see how things end up being resolved. I suppose now would be a pretty reasonable time to use Fetid Haze just to try to kill off as much of this opposition as possible prior to Ku'gath and the Chaos Fanatics taking a swing to finish off some of these units. But Ku'gath is going to be able to reassign a point of damage. The Chaos Fanatics looks like they're taking the opportunity to attack first. Yep, it's going to be that copy of Starbane's Council. And is there anything that Troels is going to be able to do? Will he spend a 3rd shield card just to keep that unit in play? No, it looks as though he decides to cut his losses, and that is going to be a dead copy of that signature unit, so things are looking pretty grim indeed for our Eldar faction player. Is there anything that we could do? Yes, it's going to be a copy of Gift of Isha, is going to return Starbane's Council to play. It's going to have the opportunity to take a swing of 5 unless we see our Chaos faction player use a copy of Archon's Terror or something like that to banish this unit. So Starbane's Council could kill off the Heretic Inventor, they could kill the Gleeful Plague Beast, they could deal 3 points of damage to Ku'gath Plaguefather, which in my opinion would be largely inadvisable, but let's see how things end up being resolved. I believe at this point our Eldar faction player is entirely out of resources, so Gift of Isha, multiple copies of Gift of Isha aren't exactly going to be able to spare him at this point. That's the copy of the Gleeful Plague Beast destroyed. It is gone, banished to the confines of the warp. I'm not sure if demons can ever truly die, but it is indeed removed from this plane of existence. So let's hope it was worth it for Troels, and now that's going to be Ku'gath taking, he's going to be moving 1 point of damage onto Eldorath Starbane, and he's going to be able to assign 1 point of damage. Yep, so that's his attack value of 1, and that damage reassignment resulting in a bloodied Eldar faction warlord. I presume that's going to bring us to the end of the combat round. Looks as though we instead actually see a little bit of a take back there. That's going to be a copy of Empower discarded as shields. So that should be Eldorath Starbane sitting at 6 total points of damage. I'm not exactly sure why he's got 2 damage tokens on him. Maybe that black damage token is meant to represent 5 just for the sake of mathematics there, but I suppose that works for me. We're going to see the beginning of a new combat round. Granted, that copy of Starbane's Council is still sitting at this planet, but, you know, the first opportunity Ku'gath would have to exhaust, that would be a point of damage moved back onto Eldorath Starbane, and that would be a banished enemy unit. Ku'gath's Nurglings looks like they are going to take that opportunity to deal the bloodying blow finally to Eldorath Starbane, so that attack value of 2 manages to banish the Eldar Warlord to his own HQ, and this battle is still ongoing. The Warlock Destructor is going to take a swing at the Heretic Inventor. Are they going to end up killing it? No, it looks as though that must have been a 2-shield icon card discarded, because the Heretic Inventor only manages to take a single point of damage. It's going to take a swing in return. That's going to be an attack value of 3 directed toward that copy of Starbane's Council. We see another copy of Nullify used as a shield to make sure that that's only 2 points of damage. The Heretic Inventor in return is destroyed by Starbane's Council. The Chaos Fanatics are going to be taking a swing at the Warlock Destructor. That's going to be 1 point of damage dealt out to that unit. Ku'gath Plaguefather transfers 1 point of damage onto the Warlock Destructor, and his 1 attack value is going to threaten the destruction of that unit. Now all that's left is this ephemeral copy of the Starbane's Council. At the end of the combat phase, should this unit somehow survive combat, it would be removed, discarded from play, but it looks as though Ku'gath's Nurglings are going to be able to end up killing that copy of Starbane's Council for a second time. That is going to be a victory for Alexander Cimadon for managing to pilot our second Chaos faction warlord, the Nurgle trait Ku'gath Plaguefather, to victory, but very well played also by Troels Berthelsen. And of course, thank you to both of our players for allowing me the opportunity to commentate this game, publish this video, and post it upon my channel. So I definitely enjoyed this game. Fantastic performance by both of our players. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, as ever, you're always encouraged to share this content, because the more individuals there are that end up exposed to this living card game, the more people may like what they see, give this game a try, someday join our Conquest community, and of course, all together we continue to send an increasingly great message to Fantasy Flight Games, asking them to continue to develop this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like to get in touch with me, I would encourage you to do so through Twitter or on Facebook, and if you'd ever like to send in footage of your own, I would be honored were you to send in either tabletop games like in the video you just watched, or if you instead want to record your desktop and send in Octagon games, I'd be equivalently flattered and humbled were you to do so. I'm always on the lookout for additional games to commentate and host upon my channel. If you ever feel so inclined to help support the Hive Tyrant, I would be honored were you to make a contribution to my Patreon. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.